Duh. Let's try that again. We will muddy through this tonight. We're going to go ahead and get our session started, and I certainly want to apologize to the people who are presenting. We've got a 6:30 township meeting and need to move quite quickly through this. Do we need a roll call for this, Renee? Do we need another roll call? Okay, then David, I'll turn this over to you.
Yes, thanks, Mayor Pro Tem. I just want to indicate that the material for this next session was in your packet, so hopefully you've had a chance to review that. And I know that Steve Rasmussen, the Assistant City Manager, will be brief in the presentation, but we do have Isaac Thorne, who's Acting General Manager for Connect Transit here, as well as Tom Daberiner, Community Development Director as well. But we'll turn the time over to Steve.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Can you bring that first slide up, please? Maybe. There we go. Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. The Connect Transit has been working on this subject for a number of months, and we wanted to bring it back to you to give you the full information on it. I'd like to do a little bit of financial information on it, but before I do that, we have some background on Connect Transit. I'm going to ask Isaac to come up here and go through the first couple of items on that.
I'll just talk briefly about our advertising program and then Uber Displays, who we'll be partnering with to put these LED screens in the back of the buses. So our program started in 2013. We allow advertising on the outside and inside of buses. And on the outside, we have designated areas where we allow buses, and those would be king size, queen size ads, and then also rear facing ads. And we also have an advertising policy. So when somebody comes to us and says, we want to advertise this, it has to go through us first. That advertising policy basically disallows certain items, certain things to protect us and our community. The next thing is the Uber Displays background. So Uber Displays is a company that's been around for about a year to year and a half. They contacted us and talked about this technology they have. We were very interested. We actually had them come down and do a demonstration for us because we actually wanted to see it. And we also researched, state laws, local laws, and whatnot. But we also met with the city of Bloomington. We want to make sure the city of Bloomington was on board with us doing this. So we also had a demonstration for them to come see the technology in person on the back of a vehicle. So how Uber Displays works is they'll come in, install all the LED screens. They're 2 feet by 4 feet screens that go in the back of the buses. Somebody that wants to advertise, they shoot us their advertisement to a website portal, and we can approve it right then and there. Once we approve it, it immediately goes onto the bus. So each bus, on average, has 8 different ads on the back, and they run for 8 seconds. They're static ads. So there's a lot of money that we can generate through this advertising program. The other nice thing that Uber Displays is going to be able to do is provide Wi-Fi for free for all of our customers on the bus. That's another perk for having Uber Displays. So pretty much wraps it up for me.
Good. If you'll stay right here then, because I did want to go through a little bit of the financial information on this. And then we'll be here to answer any questions you have, and we've just got about 5 minutes worth of presentation here. But this makes a lot of money, a lot more money than $250,000 a year, but there is some overhead, and there's some that goes to Uber. And I want to make sure that there's no confusion between this Uber and Uber, which is a vehicle for hire. They're just two completely separate things. They just happen to have the same name. As Isaac said, the current static advertising produces about $130,000 a year, so this electronic advertising would be considerably more money than that. And they currently now are using this in a number of different U.S. cities, but it is patented, so only the Uber system can use it. And as Isaac said, it comes back kind of over the internet, so he changes it on the buses as they roll through the town. There are a couple of issues, and the reason we're bringing this back to you is because Chapter 3 of the City Code prohibits portable electric signs. The language in normal was a little bit different, and they believe that their ordinance, the way it reads, does not prohibit it being on a vehicle. Ours does, and Tom Daberine and I, we twisted this every way we could to see if we could get it around it, but it is pretty straightforward. It just says the use and display of electrical portable signs is prohibited. So what we wanted to do was we would have to come back to you for Connect Transit to be able to use this on their vehicles and have to make a slight change to it. And so what we propose is to add just a tiny phrase that says, except when located on publicly funded not-for-profit vehicles. And that is very carefully worded because we didn't want to open this up to have electronic signs on all of the pizza delivery vehicles and everything else in town. The original prohibition, we believe, was caused because the public safety people thought that these were distractions and would cause there to be distracted driving. We had the police and fire departments both look at the demonstration, and since these signs are on the back of the vehicle, while it may be some issue, they did not think that that rose to the issue of being a showstopper for us. And so what happens is the Connect Transit is going to take this to their board because they would like to do it. The City of Normal probably does not have to go to the board, so they will allow that, and then we would have to come back to you for a change in the ordinance to allow this to go forward. And we wanted to do this because Connect Transit does this in the whole city, and we don't want to have them to come to Division Street and turn the signs off and then turn them back on when they go across this Division Street. So we'd like to do this all uniformly in the city. Isaac, did you have anything else to add there? Okay, this is kind of then what they look like, a sample of another bus, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Alderman Howman. So just to be clear on the wording, so like the YWCA has buses that they use to transport.
Yes,
Are they
Yes.
excluded?
I'm glad you mentioned that. The YWCA had the Metavan program, and the Metavan program was where they had vehicles that they used for semi-emergency operations. That program, though, is going to end. Interesting enough, it ends on the 1st of July, so they will not be doing that as of next week. One of the problems that we have here and why we're interested in doing this is because many of those missions now from the Metavan will be picked up by Connect Transit. So these two things aren't connected, but they're related. So probably as of next week, they will start beginning to pick up some extra missions. And they're slightly different because Metavan actually went through the door. Connect Transit and Connect Mobility just picks up on the street. So it's going to cause some more cost to them, about $80,000 to ramp up for this. And so one of the reasons we would like to bring this back is because as we inadvertently give them more missions to take on that cost them more money, we'd also like to give them some kind of an ability to get some more money to help offset some of these increased costs that they're going to be facing.
I didn't realize a connection between the YWCA and Metavan, but there are other nonprofit organizations that have vans.
Yes, that's true, and I'm glad you mentioned that because what this would do is this is only going to say for publicly funded not-for-profit vehicles. I think that would only be for the Connect Transit. Let me ask Tom, would it include anything else? Any other vehicles you know of, Tom?
Alderman Matthey, Malomboy, and Burgess.
So, Isaac, this is probably a more technical question for you, but how bright are the signs? I was demoing an LED sign last week that was fairly blinding from 10 feet away. So, I mean, and especially with the difference between nighttime and daytime, does it adjust automatically depending on light conditions outside?
It absolutely does, yep. The technology will dim depending on if it's dark or night outside or during the day. So we actually had them in our garage on a bright sunny day, pulled out of the garage from inside to outside. It's a totally different view.
Okay, so a car 10 feet behind a bus is not going to have an issue with the lights flashing right in their face?
Correct, that is correct. These are going to be static signs. Yep.
Okay.
Alderman Malomboy.
Okay, sure. So the amount of revenue is $250,000, right, from these signs. Is that in addition to the 130, or?
Yes, that would be an addition. So in this year's budget, we put put in $150,000. We don't want to go the full $250,000 because we're almost starting our fiscal year in July 1st. So we said for this year, we're estimating $150,000 for Uber displays, as well as our $130,000 for regular display, advertising on the buses and inside.
So next year will be 280?
We're hoping so. We're hoping
Or-
to pick this
No,
up.
380, sorry.
That's what we're hoping for, yes.
Okay. And what are the plans then for that revenue?
So that just goes into to pay for all of our services, such as demand response and fixed route. That's all we're using it for. That's the only purpose is for operating. So we're trying to offset some of these increased costs by increasing our advertising revenue.
Yeah, what might be important there is they're struggling with some issues right now and have had to reduce the size of some of the routes and are looking at decreasing the trippers that they do some far northeast and southwest. And there have been several public meetings about that. And of course, there is a great deal of concern about that as well, about reducing some of the routes. And they're trying to do everything to keep the ones they've got.
Alderman Burgess.
You've mentioned several times that these are static displays, which seems like that would be less distracting and safer. But is there technology available to make it a non-static? I don't know what the opposite of that word is in this context. So they would be moving videos, and if so, should we have something in our ordinance that clarifies that this is for static displays only, if there's a safety difference? Does that make sense?
Are we
So-
going that direction?
We are not, because no one in either City of Bloomington or Town Normal wants to have motion or video on these. We can definitely do that, but we're not doing that because there's obviously some concerns about that, having videos on these.
Alderman Sage.
I'm sorry, were you done in Boca?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
So a specific question for this and then more of a general question. Are you entering into any kind of a contract with Uber? I mean, is it like a at will or 1 year, 2 year? I'm just trying to figure out, do you have the latitude to maybe get into some competitive bidding situations for people, you know?
Yeah, so with Uber displays, they do have a patent on this technology. What we're going to do is slowly go into this because we want to do a 3-month pilot project basically on 8 buses, get the community adjusted to this. This is my thought all along. Let's do this slowly. After that 3 months, then we would do a 1-year contract or 2-year contract. I'm not sure if there's anybody out there that actually bid against them because they're telling us, and I believe them, that they have the patent to protect that from somebody doing that.
Okay. And then just more of a quick update just for my benefit, maybe Isaac, and I appreciate that you guys are looking at any kind of improvements on the revenue side, right? Because that's less on the subsidy side. But just a quick update, if you will. I know when the increased subsidy came in a couple years ago for Connect, part of the rationale for that was it would get us to a point where you qualify, I think, for more state matching grants, and I'm sure we all in the room understand the condition that Springfield's in, but just can you give us a quick update? I mean, is that still something that you see as possible? Are you waiting to perhaps see what if any kind of progress is made coming out of Springfield before you'll have a better idea about that?
Yeah, it's right now, obviously, everybody knows state funding is up in the air right now. We are still waiting on our 4th quarter payment. We're hoping a budget gets done in Springfield over the next couple of days, weeks, whatever, months. That'd be the money that was provided, that $1 million from both the Town of Normal, City of Bloomington. That money's all goes towards Sunday service. Something that the community desperately wanted for many, many years. We did a ridership survey and asked them, what do you want from, what services you want from Connect Transit? Number 1 reason was more frequent service. Number 2, they wanted Sunday service. So that $1 million, we are getting more from the state. Once they're actually paying us, we are using it to leverage more state funds. So, but that Sunday service is very important to those people, and they requested it, and that's what we're using the money for.
So you still anticipate kind of being able to break through to a little higher threshold of grant matching with that? Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. David.
Mayor, could I just mention that I think Tom did find out that what we do need to do is go through which committee before bringing this back? Zoning. So by ordinance, it needs to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We just wanted to bring it to you first, and then it'll come back. And I think I'd just offer the last comment is I think as we've seen throughout the nation, some cities really would jump and at entrepreneurial type activities to raise more revenue, but there's other cities that have put more controls on things like signage, outdoor signs, advertising, things like that. So to me, that's just the other thing you want to think about is because if by allowing it for one entity, there's a lot of other nonprofits and others who may come and ask for the same benefit. And who's to say, what if we did the same thing with some of the garbage trucks and some of our dump trucks? So, it could be a revenue raiser for the city too on some of our vehicles. So just some additional thoughts. But if the council doesn't object, we'll take this ordinance back through the Zoning Board of Appeals, bring it back to you. And I would recommend we do add, as Alderman Burgess says, maybe keep the limitation to static display only. I think unless we specify that, we sometimes will leave open the flexibility. So we'll add that to the language if that is the desire of the council to kind of keep it locked in.
And when will this be on the zoning board agenda? Do you have a...
Tom, do you have an estimate?
The next one?
Oh, okay, all right, thank you. All right, any other comments? All right, then could I have a motion I do a motion to close the work session, right?
Got a roll call vote.
Okay,
Motion to adjourn now.
correct. So do I have a motion from Alderman Howman, second from Alderman Scott Black?
Alderman Bray.
Yes.
Alderman Matthey.
Yes.
Alderman Sage.
Yes.
Alderman Millawamway.
Yes.
Alderman Burgess.
Yes.
Alderman Painter.
Yes.
Alderman Black.
Yes.
Alderman Howman.
Yes. All right, thank you. We'll take a 1-minute break, and then we'll rush back into trustee mode. I know, but we're already late.